So, I saw people talking about patch notes. I saw people talking about the dev vision. I wanted to do something different. So I brought one of my friends to come and talk about it with me. Say hi.
Hello everybody, I am Ark.
We will continue. He is a tank main, just like me, but he plays the boring tanks. He plays Magneto. Oh my goodness.
I do not play Mag. Don't even try it, bro.
Okay, he plays Strange.
I play Strange and a bit of Rogue.
There you go. Strange Thor Rogue. He's a tank main, just like me. Okay, so people watch this in a stream with other people. What you may have heard or seen with them hopefully isn't what we're gonna say. Hopefully what we're going to say is new and thoughtful to everyone watching. Hopefully we're going to first talk about the dev vision, season 7 dev vision to be more precise, and how these devs Zhu Yong said anything below Celestial is Pislo. That's
yes, that is, it's a bit preposterous in my opinion.
You're talking, the people who you're talking right now, two of us, we are GM players, General Motors. Both have GM cars. We got the solo tanking. We took turns, played on a certain device which I will not name because people hate on X device, say it's not real GM, but yes, we reached GM, and it's very sad that that's Peslo, according to Juyong.
Yes, another thing to add is that Ziyong is a type of dev who's never played his game at all, truly. Or if he does, he makes updates, aka nerfs and buffs, and then he tests the game instead of doing it vice versa.
Juyong is a Bucky main and an Elsa main if he plays the game. Cause you can't tell me this guy hasn't gotten any substantial nerfs ever since the game came out. The nerf that they gave him recently was a nerf to his splash damage, not even his main damage. His main damage is untouched. His splash damage is the one that they touched. Do you know how sad that is? Like, Juyong,
it's not only sad, it's disappointing.
Why is there a character in this game that has the damage of Hela, has the ability to hit multiple enemies like Moon Knight, has Spider-Man's pull that can pull the whole enemy team? They don't even have to be close together, and his ult is basically infinite.
And he can earthbound them like thing.
And he gets overshield. He has the same amount of HP as tank pull. It's 450 versus 500. Cause that's how much he gets
honestly,
in overshield. Up to 450.
And another thing, I feel like although overshield is such a crucial and actually quite a genius design on characters, you should only get overshield for ults.
Or long cooldowns. Something like if Adam's Soulborn had overshield for himself based on the amount of people that he gets, that would be great. So because it deals with the overshield.
I think that, for example, a character like Adam, when he's doing his ult, that's when he should get like a crazy amount of overshield, since he's literally reviving an entire team worth of people. You know?
That this is Adam propaganda. Adam main, I see you. I feel that if that happens, you can't counter the Adam from rezzing his team, because he needs to have a cause and effect. If Adam rezzes without any effect to a bad res, where he can just fly in the middle of like 6 people and res, and the entire enemy team comes back and pops a healer ult, pops a DPS ult, they win the team fight. That's just broken. But 150 maybe, because you can still stun him out of it, you can still insta kill him out of it, you can still set up so when the people do get res, they get Moon Knight ulted, they get, I don't know, Elsa ulted, they get what's her name?
Strange
Emma ulted, Strange ulted, Groot ulted, right? Those are things that can happen. But
Jet
giving him too much
ults.
overshield will be cancer. But we're not talking about this guy, we're talking about the broken characters. We're talking about Bucky. And the most broken character right now, Elsa Bloodstone, who has the mobility of BP and has the damage of Bucky.
But the reason why I say maybe only ults should be the ones generating overshield is because overshield doesn't make you invincible. It just makes you slightly harder to kill. And the reason why I say like a character like Adam should only get overshield when he's ulting is because then it would focus like people having to be really attentive on an Adam when he's ulting. Or when you hear your powers are mine, you look for the bubble of green because you know Loki is transforming. You hear, behold the god of thunder, you look for Thor. Or when you hear Judge Jury, you look for the Punisher. Which people already do because incentivizing players to make plays rather than to wait or rather not really care about overshield because people like Mr. Fantastic get it on a basic kit, just like Bucky, is that it lowers the overall utility of it. Overshield should be almost like a grace in terms of it's not there to have characters increase their longevity because that's how people forget how to play neutral. That's how people get lazy and don't flank. That's how people stop thinking of ways to utilize the extra bit of encouragement that the game has given them for using their ult well, or just even using your ult.
I don't know, I agree with you.
Now,
with the way the game is now, with what Zuyong did and what he talked about in the 7.2 division, I love it so much. I love how the game is now. The game feels fun again. The game feels different. I think at time of this recording, I think I have around 800 and something hours of this game. And the problem I had before was you literally couldn't do anything as a tank. You literally couldn't. Because you try make a strange play, you try make a Hulk play, you try make a Venom play, and they instantly pop ult, and they'll have that ult for the next DPS ult. The supports literally they have get out of jail free cards. They have support ults that they pop if they're getting dope, and they'll have it by the next time another person dives them. That's not true, but you get what I mean. They'll have it in the next 30 seconds if they're healing. You find an invis who's not using the push and pull of a kit, who's not using the slowdown of a kit, who's not strategically placing her shields so that it can slow enemies down when they pass a wall so that their DPSs can be easily hitting them. There are strategists. The invis is a healer who's standing behind the tank and just pumping healing, waiting for someone to come to push them away instead of the person who the tank is fighting, pulling them in and throwing that bubble so that person has a harder time to leave and the team, jumps on them and they kill them. But that's not what they do, because in this game, people don't know how to play neutral and people just shoot down main, and that's what Zhuyo, the GOAT, for now, what you're capable of, for now, did with the nerfs to the ults. Today, I played games where Moon Knight and Psylocke literally have the same amount of final hits as me. They all have 6 or 7 final hits. That was intentional, by the way. They both have those amount of final hits, and I have the same. I have around 8. And if you look at pre-season, which I did when I looked at the Moon Knight's account, because this was one of his first few games on, he was playing the same character, and last season he was having 15, 16 final hits. You check the replay, you find that those finals are ults, or it's him throwing an unk down after people have run away from his ult and they're like half HP or a third HP. Now that doesn't happen anymore. Hulk, if you're a good Hulk, you'll have the same ult cooldown as Moon Knight, and I tested it with Arc. I tested it. He played Moon Knight and I played Hulk with the 2 claps, and because you can cycle claps and you can cycle bubbles, you get your ult so fast. Hulk is a net positive after this change, because I feel like he gets his ult faster. But poor Bruce
Yeah.
just doesn't get upset.
Not just Hulk,
as fast.
even players like Blade are now, because there's less incentive to pop a healing ult because you know you'll get it back fast enough. Even just before Blade gets it, it's more of a game of chess where when are you going to know when to pop ult? When are you going to be watching and counting and almost basically, like
It's the
like
same
I
thing
said,
for
playing chess
Mag
against your enemy
and
team all.
Dagger, right?
Yeah.
I love it. What the guys did, what the devs have done, what it shows that they care. It shows that they're capable of changing the game's direction to something positive. And I hope this time they don't listen to the supports who are quote unquote striking. What the hell supports? Who are striking because now they can just goon at the support skin that they bought. Yeah, Invis, who just goon at the support skins that they bought, and they actually have to play the game. Invis, Gambit after his 5 billionth nerf, Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger still gets ult pretty fast, but it's pretty funny because after they added three bans, you find that all these healers which I've mentioned are getting banned in comps, and it's so funny because support players don't know how to play anyone else. They don't diversify their supports, and it's very telling. You can tell who's a support player who's never played another support or has played, but the difference in ours is like 10 and 30, right? There are Captain, Invis, but there are Count, Cloak and Dagger, and it's very telling. And they're throwing you games, and you know it too, but you can't tell them because they'll throw by not healing you, and they say GG tank diff at the end of the game. What do you think?
I don't think that the toxicity will get less. I think that the toxic players will leave. They'll grow smaller in number, and over time it will be harder for toxic players to really be toxic in a rank where people care. For example, let's say you're a GG no heals, tank diff, our Moon Knight is gooning. If you're just a person who likes to complain and get into the heads of your own teammates, then you're less likely to climb past platinum. Because the people who are always relying on other people to make plays and are okay with shooting down main and not really doing much of anything aren't going to be able to climb as hard or as fast, because they're going to have to face a lot of introspection, both in skill and in the way they approach the game. Now, that being said, I think the devs are confused, and I feel like they should have paid attention to the sort of mentality the community had during Season 0. In that, while Season 0 was by far some of the most broken seasons or season we've ever had, they should have kept riding on that principle, because it is far easier for you to buff characters than for you to try balance them.
But now you see, the problem is inherently certain characters will be more broken than other characters, even though they've been buffed to oblivion. A very good example is back in Season 0, back in Season 1 and 1.5, when the Venom team up was still there, and I was in the peak when I used to play Spider-Man. I left you Spider-Man players, by the way. Yes, I am nothing without the mask. I put it down. I love that Venom team up because it made me lethal without having to do 5 billion Mortal Kombat KO combos over here, trying to be someone I'm not. So when I was playing Spider-Man then, that was when Spider-Man was at his peak. That was when he had a 5-meter uppercut. That's when his damage was enough for you to web, get over your targeting, uppercut, use the Venom team up, or use another web, then use the Venom team up, then use another uppercut, they die. If you're saying they buff characters, Bucky was already broken then. Spider-Man was killing supports left, right, and center, but Bucky was still able to kill him. Let's say you buff Spider-Man again, Bucky will still be able to kill him with his base kit.
But that's backwards thinking. Why buff the counter to Spider-Man when, if the supports are dying too easily to dive comps, you give supports more util, or you give us more characters that are anti-dive. You give us more brawl.
And that's what they did. After Post's first ever support strike. They gave nearly all the supports more util, and they introduced new things to counter dive. Because season 2 I love that season so much. It was a season where dive was meta and nothing could have been done about it. Because that was a season, I think 2.5 or season 3, was when they buffed Bucky to have Earthbound. That's the time they also increased things Earthbound from I think 3 seconds to 5 seconds, because right now it's 5. And that's the time when Emma was still broken. That's the time when, that was that time during that stuff.
But here's the thing: if characters are broken, right, and then, because I want you to look at it like this: imagine they never nerfed any character. Hulk wouldn't really be such an issue right now.
Yeah, it'll be Flyer Metal, though. It'll be Johnny Storm in the sky after him releasing as one of the worst DPSs in the game, and the devs over buffing him to the point that if you didn't have a Johnny, you're throwing, and the only way you were winning games was the enemy team Johnny being worse than your Johnny. Because I remember when,
you know what I say to that?
Oh my gosh, it was horrible.
You know what I say to that? If Flyer comp is such a worry, truly it's such a worry, right? Then you let it be a worry. I feel like Rivals devs are not willing to let their community come up with methods of dealing with certain metas. It's different when a meta is just strong and you don't have the kit or the damage to be able to counter them effectively.
Yes, this current meta.
Versus when, like our current meta, or when you look at a comp where it's only Flyers and you've decided that, we're just going to have Flyers be weak then. No, you let the Flyers be strong because it teaches your player base to look up.
Fat neck syndrome. We know who you are. Going to 2-player called I Love Kittens 542. Look up.
Right? Because I imagine if Johnny had never gotten nerfed, then would Johnny be permabanned? Yes. But even if Johnny slips through, enough players have learned how to play around with certain characters and look up that it's not really much of a problem.
Do you know?
Because if Namor is banned and Johnny isn't, and Storm isn't, and Iron Man isn't, and Ultron isn't, in a meta like this, where Poke might still be strong, Flyer comps aren't weak either. Even with all the nerfs, they're not necessarily weak. Because if the characters can just stay up in the sky, relatively far apart from each other, but still get healing from Ultron, then what's to say that they haven't really made the comp weak?
I feel that there should be nerfs and buffs because it's about balance at the end of the day. You should be able to play any character and still have output. Wanda is one of the best DPSs to fight so many things that people in this game are complaining about, but no one ever plays her. When people are complaining about Flyers, Johnny Storm, Wanda counters Johnny. Wanda counters Iron Man.
She counters all Flyers. Yeah.
Wanda does not counter Angela though. She counters Ultron, she counters Storm. But Bucky counters Angela.
Okay, I look at it like this. I don't think nerfs are good things because I don't feel like balance should be the focus of any game that's trying to remain the way it is for casuals. It truly shouldn't. Because
Now, you see, the
casuals don't
thing
care about
is,
balancing. They just want their characters that they play to be strong. They don't care.
the game
What?
doesn't know what it wants to do. The game wants to have a competitive scene to the point that they added an esports tab inside the game where you can bet on the teams that you think they're going to win, which means they expect you to watch those matches when they happen and give them like your time to watch Rivals Esports versus them doing -10 +10 increase to Squall Girl. They don't know who to satisfy. They don't know if they want to satisfy the competitive players in their competitive sphere, or they want to change and cater to the balanced nature of casual players. Because like half of the buffs and half of the nerfs of all times is for two separate people. Cloak and Dagger's bubble being able to heal you an instant 60 was not for competitive players. That was for the casual people.
Yeah, and you know what?
Same
I don't
thing with
think that has a
Spider-Man,
bad change.
uppercut.
But if you're going to do that, then Iron Fist should still have his crazy amount of mobility with his jumps. You know? Characters like Spider-Man, forget about team-ups for a moment, but just the basic kit and the output damage they do as a singular character, I don't think those type of things should be enough, because if it's about balancing and answering the cries of, oh, help us Guan Guan, help us Zeong, you know, the dive is destroying us, the poke is too strong, flying meta. Everybody is going to have complaints about the game. The devs just need to be able to do one of few things. Buff characters that are necessary for changing the comms season to season. Second is that if it's about casual gameplay while maintaining a committed competitive scene, you cannot be focused on balance. You cannot be focused on balance. The only thing you can be focused on is strategy and actual gameplay mechanics, because imagine you live in a world where, oh, we don't even have to imagine because it happened, where enemy teams were not doing damage and letting their gambits basically fight and damage the enemy team, so the first one to gain all charge wins.
That's how it used to be though. Back in the day, season 1.5 or season 2, I remember the strategy was to make your tanks go up, Cloak and Dagger heals, and in the first 15 seconds, she uses us against the wall and you get points. That used to be so funny, and you know that comes in that we're talking about, and that's how alt spam and alt usage has been killed, and it's a good thing.
It's a good thing, and that's something they should have thought of early on in the game. Instead of trying to focus on balancing, the best way to balance a competitive scene is by increasing skill floor ceiling for each rank. So that way, people can't brute force their way on any sort of role. They have to be smart. They have to play as a team. They have to make plays. They have to think of counters. They have to revise their games if they're going to be serious about climbing. Because if a casual player is just going to be there, play one game, talk shit, hop off, move on with their day, then that person should not be allowed to climb to one above all. That person shouldn't be allowed to enter or even just buy an account and get into a place like Celestial where they can just do very dumb things because they don't know how to play the game. And you know what would be an easier way of also making sure these cheaters and these toxic players can't climb is by increasing the skill floor. Because if a person enters a rank with cheats but their gameplay hasn't involved, their mechanics haven't involved, their strategy hasn't involved, then the only thing that is going to happen to them is that they are going to get devoured. People are going to know, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's standing down mid. His shots are hitting where they shouldn't, and because he or she is so buns at this game, they are going to be punished not just by the players themselves and them targeting this obviously weaker link, but because the system will be able to pick it up because it will know. They won't be guessing as to who's cheating and who's not if the strategy of each rank is slightly different.
Everything you've said is true, and we know this because of another Rivals creator rhyming with Shmei Free doing reviews on cheaters, and Ark and I, we love watching them. They are so funny because the things that you see, healers are shooting down main. They don't know how to fight with neutral, and these cheaters, these hackers were having the time of their lives because one, the shots were always hitting, but the second one, they just kept on using the ults because they were getting them so fast. So now also the ult usage has affected them. So what you said is true, but you know there's another thing which I've played this new season. I haven't been solo ulted by a Psylocke once when I'm chasing her away. I haven't been solo ulted by a Phoenix once because she's 1 HP and wants to get her HP back. Because now they actually have to think, do I have to waste my 3 ultimates of the game, 3 or 4 ultimates of the game, trying to solo ult this guy, or do I get value? You know, if they're a bad player, they'll just do it, YOLO, solo ult. Instantly you die, but they've lost value. But good players, now you're catching them. I have caught so many bad players, especially, not even on my team, but on the enemy team, especially DPS players. You know yourselves, especially DPS players who, in their almighty knowledge, shoot down main. You catch them because you're playing brawl tank or shield tank, you're either playing Strange or you're playing Hulk. You catch them and they don't know what to do, because at that point, if it was a previous season, they would have already had the ult and they would have solo ulted you and ran away. But that's not happening anymore. You're finding DPS players whose inflated damage numbers, which were reaching like 20 or 30k a match, are now 12, 15,000. Same thing with healing. You find in games where a healer had 28k healing, now the healer has 17k, and that's because they have less ults. That's because now, if you're getting dove by a Venom, will you use disappear to try and make the Venom go away? Or will you try and run? You know, go to where your team is so your team can help you get rid of that Venom. This is when people are getting caught. This is when people who are having inflated ranks are getting found out, because players in this game can't play neutral.
And one thing that the devs, I feel like they're hesitant on, or the devs need to be a bit more openly engaged with the quality of the game. I feel like if they're going to really focus on balancing and, overall quality and stuff like that, they need to be able to have some sort of in-game suggestions, so that instead of doing nerfs and buffs every half season, they can do it at the beginning at every season. That way they have almost 2-3 months of feedback and input from their community, where players can submit games, they can submit footage, where they can have basically almost a questionnaire, almost, in terms of the issues that they are experiencing with their game. Because only people who are very committed to the game are going to be looking to have their input heard, and these changes need to be done. Now, the one thing that they should not listen to is what characters need to be nerfed. I'll say it again. Nerfs for any competitive game don't pan out well, because balancing isn't a this isn't chemistry where you'll do one thing and you'll get a completely different element because you change some shape or you learned how to do this over time. The only way they can maintain this supposed balance they are trying to achieve is by being honest and having some sort of dialogue with players so people won't have the incentive to be one trick ponies, especially since casuals where there's so many characters. A casual player should not feel that they can't go learn this and this or whatever character they want to pick up or just play a random character because the devs just nerfed this guy for the fourth season, because somebody was complaining about him getting a kill on him and they just didn't like that. What they should be able to do is recognize that the best possible thing for a casual game is entertainment. And by that they need to bring back they either need to make another PvE mode or add another map to 18 versus 18, or for whatever reason they might feel like they need to have almost a sort of live event for their storyline changing each season. So that way, even the guys who don't really care about playing rivals that much and they only play once a week or when their friends are off work or when they're done with school and they'll just have a fun time in quick play, is that these characters these players can come in, experience the live event with people who are more enthusiastic about the game, and they can have almost a bonding moment about their interest and passion in the game.
That is so true. Ark knows for a fact this game is for the casual market. It's Marvel. I'm talking about competitive scene. He knows it's for casuals and he's talking in the grand scheme of things. I'm going to talk about something personal, and that's players in this game not knowing how to play neutral. It's so sad. I'm a tank player. I will know if a DPS isn't doing something. I will know if a strategist is dying pointless deaths because I have to be aware, especially if I'm playing shield tank. I have to be aware. Neutral isn't just shooting. Neutral is your positioning. Neutral is your cooldown usage. Neutral is you as a DPS, random DPS. Let's say you're playing Hela. Most Hellas shoot down main, throw all the util down main and wait to use the bird when things go south. If you were a good Hela, if you know what neutral really is, you would turn left because the maps are very wide. You would turn left, go stand at a high ground location, shoot down so the enemy team has to decide, okay, do I have to shoot this Hela or do I continue fighting the tank? And that's when neutral really is. Neutral is also when your support is over here behind the tank. Should the support be behind the tank? In some scenarios, yes. In some scenarios, no. The support should also know during neutral, you're supposed to position yourself in a place where the least amount of damage is going to hit you. Play behind walls, play behind cover, play where you can shoot in between a tiny crack so that you can heal and no one can deal damage to you. Not just standing out in the open right behind your tank and getting blown off by a Bucky who's decided to take the left turn, point AA2 exits and come to kill you. Same thing with DPS. Neutral is target priority. Target priority is you shoot at a person until they die, not you shoot at them, they reach 1 HP, you shift to the next person. You're fighting a cloak and dagger, they've used the shift, they've gone invisible, they've used the bubble, they have nothing left, they're 1 HP. Then you see someone across the map who's half and your teammate is fighting them. So you decide to leave the cloak and dagger alone and fight that person. And the cloak and dagger lives, heals that person, both of you die. and that is in the biggest neutral.
True.
The biggest neutral is bad tank players. Bad tank players who do not know positioning. Bad tank players who don't know where to stand, who don't know how far to push. There's a difference between overextending and pushing up. There's a difference. It's going to reach a point. It has reached a point. I'm going to make a video where I'm going to show tank players optimal places to hide behind, optimal places to stand so that you position yourself better, because you can't just run down main because you have a large health pool. You insta die. Just because you have the thing dash doesn't mean you're invincible. You know, I've been clowning on other roles this entire video. Tanks have it the worst. People who play tank and don't reposition well, don't hide behind cover, don't give their time for their healers to breathe or their DPSs to reposition whilst staying at a space. You know, tanking is not just about making space 24/7. It's also about you keeping the space that you've made, and that is you not overextending. I will personally make a video about it, and I will call every single tank main friend I have, and we are going to show where you stand, because there's sometimes I'm playing game and I'm playing with a mag, and this guy thinks he is the Eric, the Magneto, and rushes down main with his movement speed of 0.001 with his broken legs. That's why he floats, and he just dies. No longer. I refuse. Anyway, my rant's over. Ark said this game won't last past 2027. Please tell us why as I cool down from bad tanks.
Well, the reason why I see the game not lasting is because, okay, you need to be able to look at it from a gameplay perspective, or even just activity perspective. Now, Zombies was a very fun game mode, even though the devs didn't really think to, give you iframes when you're out of spawn, or not let Wanda just spawn bubbles where you're going to spawn and just have you insta die over and over again. In my opinion, if they're going to have more PvE game modes, especially based off the Marvel games, the Marvel movies, how is the game going to progress once these movies are over? Because as much as the IP is what is drawing them, unlike a lot of different games where they're hero shooters and they can just really build up or just rather maintain a smaller committed group of players, Marvel Rivals is ultimately dependent on the Marvel IP to keep it relevant. It's ultimately dependent on the actions that Disney is going to start making. So I imagine in the future it is going to become increasingly harder for them to just release lesser unknown or rather big names, because the hype for them has already gone, and these lower or rather these lesser known characters aren't going to be as much of an attention grab. For example, if they for whatever reason ever decide to release a Thanos character, right, then they are going to struggle in balancing a character like that. When they release a character like
Yondu
for
from
example,
the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he died in the second one.
Yeah,
he's lost his relevance, but
or Drax, right? These type of characters are going to be harder for people to be able to, generate excitement, because the player base that would have known that this game doesn't just have characters that are going to be released, but I'm going to have to spend an X amount of time getting to know them, or I'm only going to play a few matches with them just to get the excitement of them and then go back to not really playing the game. It's being able to keep these sort of players engaged. And a very good example of a game with high amounts of player activity, even outside the main game mode, is a game like Fortnite. Even though it might not be the best example, considering we're talking hero shooters,
You're even looking so far away.
you can still
Even Overwatch fits exactly what you're saying. The
yeah.
characters have never been thought of. They are brand new. The story is amazing. The characters are amazing. But people got tired of it because Blizzard didn't listen to their community. I cannot speak much about Overwatch because I am not an Overwatch player. I do though have friends who talk about Overwatch and have over 2,000 hours in the game. They have said these things. They love the characters, they love the game. Why? Because the game it's amazing. Because never before seen characters, they can think of new characters. Heck, Overwatch is even far. Valve has released a new game which is doing better than Rivals and is invite only. Deadlock. Deadlock has more players time to time, constantly, than Rivals. Rivals has peaks and downs when they release a new character. People come back, people leave. You know yourselves. But Deadlock just has a constant number of people. Ark showed me that this game is very limited because once you add all the popular people, what's the game going to have? C tiers and D tiers. And all the popular people, we're also including Luke Cage, we're also including White Tiger, we're also including almost all of the Rogue Gallery from Spider-Man. Because honestly, in the broader public, that's what the people know. The issue is, it's not going to take that long time. This game won't last the 10 years that Overwatch has. Why? Because at this moment, with the way that they're releasing characters, we're going to reach a limit. At 2 characters every month, every few months, 10 characters a year, 10 to 12 a year. That is so much. It's going to reach a point where there's so many characters that you don't even like. The game is too big, and when the game is too big, it doesn't even have quote unquote quality characters. Cause man, like Brickman, Spider-Man's Rogue, Brickman, The Wall. If they add him, people will be like, who the hell is this guy? But he's a cool character. Will the game, which is dependent on this Marvel IP, have the same steam to hype up these new characters compared to that? They've done it with whitefox. Whitefox now has more views on YouTube than the other heroes that were released. But will they do it again? That's the real question here.
Right? I feel like Rivals, if they're going to continue this model for 10 characters a year, then they need to stop it this year. Next year, I feel like they should take a bit more time with their seasons and be okay with releasing, maybe 3 or 4 characters in a row. That way they can take time to really listen. Like I said, if they add some sort of forum in which they can listen to the most, average or even just the most committed players in the game and what type of characters and just the things that they would like to see added or included in the game, then there is a likelihood that they could draw from those ideas, because there is around 3,000 Marvel characters, and I cannot imagine a future where we are 5 years into this game and we have
200 characters.
For one, it's going to really stress this mentality for balancing, because that's the main issue they are going to run into. Second issue they are going to run into is game optimization.
This game you just need an asset.
Either Rivals is setting itself up for failure, or it's a cash grab scheme where these devs are never really planning to make it to 10 years ever, they're planning to let the game run maybe 3-4 years. They've released all these popular characters, and then they let the servers close because they've run out of people to add into the game. And since they've put all this pressure on themselves, or releasing new characters often and often and often, they're going to reach a point of collapse where either the player base will leave because there's just no reason to play a game where it was always just a lie, you know? And that's the vision I'm starting to get from Rivals. How many more characters are you going to add to the game before you're willing to take maybe 1 or even 2 years of nerfing and buffing and adding maps and switching up storylines and doing all sorts of crazy things into the game? Because either they start drawing on different IPs to add into the game, or they're purposefully setting themselves up for failure so that they can get their money in and leave.
Well,
That's those are the only two ways I see this game panning out.
that was a very dark ending to this very nice video. Thank you to the people who've watched this far. It's been very long. Plugs. Go watch my support video. It's very funny. It has glitches at the end. I'm new. You just gotta accept it. It's very funny. Thank you. Like, subscribe. Do everything that people normally tell you to do. Goodbye, YouTube, for now.